We're walking on the grave.
I just thought it'd be easier you telling him all the stuff instead of me.
I'll just stay there.
We'll make your way over to where the chairs are behind the chairs. We are live streaming it, so please do not stand in front of the camera. We're just going to aim over to Gina.
She's your standing.
I'm going to be sitting, mate.
Say goodbye, my own true lover, as we sing a lover's song. How it breaks my heart to leave you. Now the carnival is gone. High above, the dawn is waking, and my tears are falling rain. For the carnival is over, we may never meet again. Like a drum, my heart was beating, and your kiss was sweet as wine. But the joys of love are fleeting, for Pierrot and Columbine. Now the harbor light is calling. This will be our last goodbye. Though the carnival is over, I will love you till I die. Like a drum, my heart was beating, and your kiss was sweet as wine. But the joys of love are fleeting, for Pierrot and Columbine. Now the harbor light is calling. This will be our last goodbye. Though the carnival is over, I will love you till I die. Though the carnival is over, I will love you till I die.
Guys, please have a seat.
Well, that first song is the most fitting one to play today. When I was speaking with Betty's family and we were choosing music, I actually suggested to the family maybe we play that song, and they said no, there's no need. We've heard it over and over and over and over. Betty loved the Seekers, and she also loved Foster and Allen, and that one, there will be one Foster and Allen song played shortly too. So perfect way to begin today's farewell. Well, good morning everyone, and welcome to you all, and thank you for being here. I know that Betty's family greatly appreciates the friendship and the support that surrounds them as we prepare to say farewell to Betty. My name is Gina Brakey, and it really is an honour to have been invited to officiate today's service. It is my hope that every part of this graveside service will pay tribute to Betty in a meaningful way and truly reflect on the many things that made her the special lady she was. Well, firstly, to everyone here at the graveside, welcome, and to those joining us via live stream, I hope you also feel a part of today's farewell. To those family and friends that can't be here this afternoon, we know that your love and thoughts are with Betty's family. As each of you take this time to remember her in your own special way, may you be warmly reminded of how much she has meant to so many. Well, it is with sadness that we are gathered this morning, but it is with grateful hearts we are here to celebrate the life of Betty Candian. As her family and friends, as her close family and friends, you are the ones that knew her the best, and so it is fitting that you are the ones to be here as we say farewell. Today, memories will be shared, and you will all feel a sadness that Betty is no longer a physical presence in your lives. However, in spending this time together comes the warmth of a life lived, and a love and many friendships shared, and memories that will live on long after we say farewell. Today, we give thanks for Betty's life, and we honour her memory with this dedicated moment of warmth and affection. So I would like to begin by acknowledging those who are most special in Betty's life. She was the dearly loved wife of Mario, who is deceased. She was the loving mother and mother-in-law of Anne and Ron, of Josie and Laurie, of Peter, who was also deceased, and Carol, of Netta and Dick, and Stephen and Donna. She was a very proud nan of Tanya, Tara, Haley, Luke, Richard, Zane and Brent, and she had 7 great-grandchildren and 1 great-great-grandchild. Along with Betty's extended family and many friends here this morning, we were all a very important part of her life, and I'm sure if she could, she would thank you for the love and the friendship shared. Well, summing up Betty's life is going to be a difficult thing to do, for no eulogy or story can ever truly capture her journey. No matter how well each of you may have known Betty, our words today will never truly do her justice. Each of you here have shared different experiences with her. Each of you have known her in different ways, and there are many things you have in common. At one time or another, your lives have surely been touched by her generous and hard-working nature, her determination and her resilience, her sometimes stubborn streak, her straightforward and tell-it-like-it-is manner, but mostly you will remember the love that she had for family and for those closest to her. Today's service is a really lovely way to remember these special things about Betty, and it is a chance for you all to be grateful that she has been an important part of your lives. I have an opening poem to share today. They are words I feel certain Betty would want you all to know. When I come to the end of the road and the sun has set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul set free? Miss me a little, but not for long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love that we once shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey we all must take, and each must go alone. It's all part of the master plan, a step on the road to home. When you are lonely and sick at heart, go to the friends we know. Laugh at all the little things we used to do. Miss me, but let me go. Well, the value and meaning of life consists in living it and living it well. At 90 years of age, Betty has lived a full life. By honouring her memory this morning, we are affirming all that was meaningful to her, and we are paying tribute to a life lived with purpose and meaning. Betty lived a simple but quiet life here in Orbost, and she was never one who wanted or needed a lot of fuss made of her. Today is simply a chance to honour her memory, remember the happy times you have all shared, and acknowledge what a respected and a loved member she was in the Orbost community, which is clear by today's attendance. Today's service will be a simple and sincere celebration of her life. Well, in preparing for this morning's service, I recently met with Betty's family, and they shared with me a little about her life and what she has meant to you all. One of the first things that I learned was what a devoted and loving wife, mother and nan she was. She was totally devoted to her family. In turn, Anne, Josie, Peter, Netta, Steve and their families have all been a wonderful support to Betty since Mario's passing, and she knew how lucky she was to always have her family and friends close by. For well over 70 years, Betty has called Orbost home. She was a friendly and familiar face in town, and her legacy will certainly live on, with Josie, Netta and Steve and their families all living here. There was so much to share and lots of memories to recall, and here's just a little of what they remembered about their mum's life. So born in Bairnsdale, Betty was the youngest of 5 children. She had 1 brother, Johnny, and 3 sisters, Lena, Pia and June, who are all no longer with us. As a teenager, Betty moved here to Orbost with her father, Silvio, and she began working for him at a very early age. Silvio had a fruit shop, which turned into a cafe, and Betty worked there for many years. In her early 20s, Betty met Mario Candian, an Italian migrant who was working in the Orbost area as a sleeper cutter, and they were married and they lived above the cafe. Anne, Josie and Peter were all born while living there, then a move to Forest Road where Netta and Steve completed the family. Betty was a hard-working, busy mum of 5. Getting up at 4 a.m, she would get the kids out of bed and head to the cafe where she would cook breakfast for the mill and the bushworkers before somehow finding time to go out the back to light the copper so she could do the washing by hand, and she did this for many years. Betty was so industrious that even in her spare time, she would knit all of her kids' school jumpers and even their socks. She was such a hard worker, and when the kids had all grown, she was still working, cooking and cleaning at a local motel here in town. When she finally retired, Betty was happiest when she was playing bingo at the Top pub, and she was a regular there every Sunday for the raffles. She never missed a Sunday at the pub. She loved her scratchies and was always hopeful of winning some big money, and she also loved to have a flutter on the horses, especially on the Melbourne Cup, and she was familiar with many of the trainers and the jockeys. As many of you here know, as probably everyone here knows, Betty also followed Collingwood passionately in the footy, as do all of her family, I believe. Mario was a Carlton supporter, and Steve mentioned that his mum had told all of them as young kids it was Collingwood or the doghouse. Stephen also said that when Collingwood was playing, his mum would be listening to the radio and he would be watching on the telly. She would know the results before him and call just before the end of the TV match was finished to say whether Collingwood had won or lost. She also had a friendly rivalry with 3 generations of men in the Johnson family who are mad keen Bombers supporters. Suffice to say that Betty was a lot happier on Anzac Day than they were. Well, Betty was remembered also as a fantastic cook. Her Sunday roasts, her minestrone, spaghetti sauce and tripe were her specialty, and she was renowned around town for her jelly slice. The pub and the school loved getting her slice, and the local newsagents in town would often ask, "Where's our slice, Betty?" And before they knew it, they would have a tray made for them. Being of Italian descent, Betty loved to feed people, and none of her family or close friends ever went hungry. Well, Betty travelled back to Italy once with Mario. They were planning on staying there for 3 months, but Betty came home after just 1 month. She missed being with her family. She also went on a trip to Noumea with Josie and Laurie, but for the most part, she was happiest being here in Orbost where she knew everyone. Mario passed away 18 years ago, and Betty adjusted to life without him by keeping busy with her family and friends. A move to Tara Street around 25 years ago meant that Betty was across the road from the centre of town, so every day she would wander down the street and talk to everyone she passed. She was also known to pull up a chair and sit with people she knew while they were having a cuppa. She loved to chat, and all of the locals loved her. Well, the arrival of grandchildren and great-grandchildren were the highlight of Betty's life. She loved seeing them and keeping up with what they were doing. Her family told me that she was always very protective of them, and if you messed with any of them, you had Betty to deal with. She called a spade a spade. She spoke the truth whether you liked it or not, and you were never left wondering with Betty. Dick mentioned in our conversation that when he met Netta, he was told in a very stern voice, "Look after my daughter or else." So, of course, he has looked after her daughter. And, Betty certainly told it as it was, and everyone here would agree with that, I'm sure. In more recent years, as Betty has slowed down a little, she was very grateful to have such good friends in Trevor and Ian, who became great company and a wonderful support. They would meet for coffee every day, and in recent months, when the walk up the street got too much for Betty, they kindly brought the coffee to her, and they would take Betty to the pokies once a month. They also knew how much she loved her scratchies, and when she could no longer buy them for herself, they would buy them for her and tape a 20-cent piece to the scratchies so that she could scratch the numbers. I think it's safe to say that Betty's family are very thankful to both Trevor and Ian for everything that they did for their mum. Well, with her family's love and support, Betty was able to remain at home until the very end, which was her wish. She was so strong and determined, and she didn't want a lot of fuss made of her, and she passed away peacefully in her sleep last Tuesday, the 3rd of May. Betty leaves you all with memories of someone who's lived a full and happy life. She was a respected member of this community, and her legacy lives on in her proud family, who are remembering her today with lots of fondness and love. That's a very quick snapshot of Betty's life. Obviously, it's hard to capture 90 years in a short amount of time, but that sort of gives you an indication of the hard-working, determined and loving woman that Betty was. And now Anne has a tribute that she'd like to share. She's a bit nervous, but she'll be fine. She'd like to share with us a bit about her mum. Thanks, Anne.
Oh, dear me. What to say about Mum? Well, she was a very independent person, and she liked her routine. In fact, you could set your watch by the time she left the house to go up to the street to catch up with people. If she was here today, she would say, "What are you all doing here? I'll be all right, I'll get there." But in the end, we knew she wasn't. As it's been pointed out, mums could be very stubborn, and when it came to having her injections for the coronavirus, she had the first one. She was so sick, she said, "I'm never having the second one." But she didn't realise if she didn't have the second one, she couldn't go to the pokies. So guess what? She put her hand up for the second one, which really shocked me. The highlight, as we've heard, was the raffles on a Sunday. Peter used to come up to visit her for various reasons, and about 11 o'clock she'd say, "Okay, Peter, you better go home now. You've got a long way to go," which was about 4 hours. She certainly didn't want to be late to get the tickets. I don't know why, because no one up there would be game to sell her tickets, which she's had even before Dad passed away. Mum also loved watching the women's football as much as the men's. And I've been told if you called in when the Big Bash was on and the TV was so loud, you would never get a conversation with Mum, especially if her team was playing. Mum loved that she was still here at 90 to be able to see and enjoy all her great-grandchildren and her great-grandson. So I would like to thank Donna for her patience and her love and care that she gave Mum. And Mum certainly appreciated every single thing that Donna did for her. So on behalf of Mum's family, I would like to thank the district nurses and the staff at the hospital, and also to Gina for the beautiful service today. But especially and most importantly, I'd like to thank everybody here today to come and say goodbye to our Mum.
Thank you, Anne. Beautiful tribute. Yeah, it's not easy to get up and speak at a funeral, and you did a lovely job, and thank you for sharing those few memories. Now, I know it's not an easy thing to do, but if there is anyone that would like to share a memory or a story, please, there's a chance to do so. Betty's family are heading to the Orbost Club when we do conclude here today, and that is a great chance, if you are able to join them for a cuppa and some refreshments and a bite to eat over lunchtime, and then, yeah, obviously a lovely chance to continue celebrating Betty's life in a less formal setting. So the Orbost Club is where Betty's family are headed to. Now, on that note, we have a Foster and Allen song now to play. It's a beautiful reflective piece, and it's a lovely chance for you all to just sit or stand quietly with your own special memories of Betty. So enjoy this beautiful piece of music.
Snowdrops and daffodils, butterflies and bees, sailboats and fishermen, things of the sea, wishing wells, wedding bells, early morning dew, all kinds of everything reminds me of you. Seagulls and aeroplanes, things of the sky, winds that go howling, breezes that sigh, city sights, neon lights, grey skies or blue, all kinds of everything reminds me of you. Summertime, wintertime, spring and autumn too, Monday, Tuesday, every day I think of you. Dances, romances, things of the night, sunshine and holidays, postcards to write, budding trees, autumn leaves, a snowflake or two. All kinds of everything reminds me of you. Summertime, wintertime, spring and autumn too. Seasons will never change the way that I love you. Dances, romances, things of the night, sunshine and holidays, postcards to write, pudding trees, autumn leaves, a snowflake or two. All kinds of everything reminds me of you. All kinds of everything reminds me of you.
Beautiful song to reflect on Betty's life. Well, today we're remembering with love and gratitude a life that has ended. The memories and the tribute shared today make up just a small part of the sort of person that Betty was to you all. Each of you here will remember the good times you spent with her, the things that you have learned from her, and the memories that you now have to keep close to your heart. While we are united in our sadness, we are also warmed and comforted by our memories. Time stands still for just a moment as we acknowledge that Betty has touched our lives and she has left an imprint in our hearts and in our minds. Her passing has certainly left a void, but I hope it does give you all some comfort knowing of how much she appreciated and dearly loved you all. We'll be thankful for the closeness you have all had with Betty. Nothing can change the experiences and friendships you have shared. The past is sacred and secure and cannot be changed by time or by circumstance. There is no question that Betty was an important part of your lives, but I hope it does bring you comfort knowing that she is being reunited with her beloved Mario and special loved ones who have gone before her. As some people journey through life, they leave footprints wherever they go, footprints of kindness and love, of inspiration and joy. Even though Betty has gone, we can still look back and clearly see the footprints she has left behind, and we will remember that her life was one of value and purpose, and it was filled with lots of love. Our final verse to share today is on your card. It's a tweaked verse, and it's one that I'd like to finish with today. A wife, a mother, a grandmother, and more. Her love for her family was hard to ignore. Her walks up the street for a coffee with friends, it seemed that her chats would just never end. Her usual greeting, "G'day, how are you going?" would brighten their day without ever knowing. Now peaceful, at rest, and back with Mario, Betty, you are simply the best. Well, now is but a moment in time, and I dedicate the next few moments to every single precious memory associated with Betty. As we accept life, so must we also accept death as one of the unchanging laws of human design. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose on earth, a time to be born and a time to die. We now prepare to commit Betty to the earth from which she came. All life is formed of earth and returns to the heart of Mother Nature, earth to earth, dust to dust, ashes to ashes. We commend Betty and the memory we have of her to this final resting place, knowing that in time we too shall all join this circle. Betty, we are thankful to have shared joy in the sun, shelter in the storms, and to have laughed in the same moment. Although there is sadness today as we say farewell, there is gratitude for your life. We are truly grateful for the privilege of having shared life with you, and so with love we shall leave you in peace, and with respect we bid you farewell. We commend Betty and the memory we have of her to this final resting place, knowing that in time we too shall all join this circle. Into the darkness and the warmth of the earth we now lay Betty to rest.
Shouting as all barricades play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the magpie's name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades shout. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood. Good old Collingwood forever. They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the magpie's name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades shout. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood. Good old Collingwood forever. They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the magpie's name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades shout. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being here today. Those of you who haven't already come forward, please, if you'd like to come forward, Dave has a basket of rosemary. It's a lovely way for you to say farewell to Betty. Once again, a reminder that Betty's family are headed to the Orbost Club, which is a great chance to continue celebrating her life. And on behalf of her family, a very big thank you all for being here to celebrate Betty's wonderful life. Thank you again.
Good old Collingwood forever. They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the magpie's name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades shout. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood. Good old Collingwood forever. They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the magpie's name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades shout. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.